Welcome to episode Stop it. Welcome to episode 12 of the My Inner Struggle podcast. I'm Julie.
I'm Laura.
Thanks for joining us. How was your Mother's Day?
I actually just wrote a blog about it yesterday. Did you read it?
I did not.
It was okay. How was yours?
I guess you're not going to give up too much, so we read the blog.
Yeah, definitely check out the blog on myinnerstruggle.com. But it was okay.
It was okay.
It was okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a crappy day. It was cold.
Yeah,
It was rainy.
it's like one of those things. Single mom here, right? And it's just kind of like nothing goes away. You know, like I still have to, Matthew made me breakfast, which I really thoroughly appreciated, my piece of French toast, and a giant mess in the kitchen.
Oh,
so yes,
yeah,
exactly. So no, it's one of those funny holidays. I think that people, there seems to be this movement all of a sudden, right? That they're like, oh, give moms off for Mother's Day. And I'm just going to jump on that bandwagon next year.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
How was yours?
Mine was good. We went over to Nicole's for brunch and it was nice.
Nicole, I'm waiting for my invitation next year.
Oh, I invited myself. That's the trick. You just invite yourself.
Oh.
Yeah. I said, hey, we're going to do brunch at your house. She's like, okay, let's do that.
Did she make some good food?
We made food together. Yeah. She made a really good egg bake and I made a cinnamon brown sugar pancake casserole.
That sounds really horrible. Tasty.
And then we had mimosas and Bloody Marys and pastries and bagels and bacon. It was really tasty. It was an all-day event, really. We played a bunch of games and the kids had fun, so it was nice.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it was nice.
That's good.
So episode 12. Here we are. 12. Today's episode is all about how we're going to prioritize and visualize the kind of where to start, right? Because you've been getting a lot of questions on, okay, I'm listening to you guys. I just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So, one of your big tricks,
sure,
whatever, is a brain dump, which we're going to get into. But I'm going to read my quote now because it's really good. And it talks about, starting. So it's actually Walt Disney said it. And, he's pretty successful. Yeah. So let's follow what Disney says. It says the way to get started is to quit talking and start doing.
Mm-hmm. It's all about the action.
All about the action.
I like that one.
Yeah, I know. I thought you would.
Yeah.
So the brain dump. So I did my homework.
Right. So I asked you to do a brain dump before this. Yes.
And it's the first time I had ever done one. So I didn't really have a what was I supposed to do kind of a thing. I guess there's no right answer.
Right. And it's just basically getting everything out that's in your head.
Yeah.
Because we go through our day with a million things, on our mind, whether it's, the grocery list and how many, games you have to go to today and organizing kids. And then, just all the list of things that we are responsible for every single day. And it's all living in our head. And then on top of all of our aspirations or the things that we want to tackle, you get in bed at the end of the day and you're like, I didn't work out. I really want to work that into my day. Well, when you get everything out on paper, it makes it much easier to prioritize what it is that we're wanting to accomplish.
Right.
Yeah.
So actually that is some of the stuff you already talked about.
Oh, sorry.
I know. No, it's good. But like healthy habits. So that's something that's always on my mind. Yep. Not even just healthy eating, but working out and holding myself accountable. And I think that's where because I am busy and I go from all day, but so sometimes, and I know I'm not alone, but the quickest food option is not always the healthiest food option.
Right. So, and actually here, I'll out you for a second, kind of, right?
She'll
yes. So, you have other things that you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a job that you go to in the morning and then you're helping me, we do the podcast, you're traveling from game to game. And oftentimes on the weeks that we're or the days that we're going to meet or whatever, I'm like, well, did you pack lunch? Right. Yeah. So one of us will sort of prep lunch or bring it or whatever. I brought you lunch a couple times. I just want to say
it's delicious.
Right. But if Julie, and I think I asked you this one time, I'm like, when you were working your full-time job, what did you do?
Yeah.
And you packed your lunch, right?
I did. Yeah. Because I never took a lunch. So I had to eat at my desk. So,
right.
Yeah.
So when, that's on your mind, obviously. So now you're getting it out and then you can kind of plan your attack mode of whatever action that you're going to take on it.
Like planning it and then holding yourself accountable to it. See, that's where I kind of fall off.
Like bringing something and then you're like, everybody's ordering something.
Yeah. Have you seen the memes? It's like, I
already know what you're going to say.
Is it the apple?
No, go ahead.
Oh, it's like like a Red Delicious apple or whatever, and somebody's like, and they take it out of the refrigerator and they put it in their lunchbox, and then at night they come back and they're like,
it
"This
takes
is
its trip out of the house.
trip out of the house day," and you put it back in, and it's
Yes.
like, yeah, I could probably keep the same banana or apple.
Mine was oftentimes at my last full-time job, it was clementines.
Yep.
2 clementines. They took their trip out of the house every day and then like went to the office and went back home.
All their friends were
back
jealous.
into the drawer.
So that was one of the things when I was really thinking like, what's on my mind. And then the other one was productive relationships. How do we set ourselves up to have productive relationships? And I'm not just talking like spouses. I'm talking all relationship, kids and coworkers and friends and family, and why is it so difficult sometimes to have a productive, healthy relationship? And how do you combat that?
Right. Well, two parties have to be willing to work on it.
Yeah.
In the same capacity, just like a marriage, really. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of the things I'm always thinking of is, how to make those work. And then the future. I am constantly thinking and focusing on the future, like what's going to happen, when Claire leaves for school, what's that going to look like? How is she going to navigate, not being home? And I'm sure she'll be 100% fine. Especially because I'm going to live next door to her.
Right.
On campus.
Right. I'm sure she's going to love that one. Yes. That's funny.
Yeah, no, she's not going to like that. But so, I mean, and that's just like a few things that I put down.
So let me just ask you. So I told you to do a brain dump.
Yes.
And basically, like we said, it's getting everything out onto the page. Mm-hmm. And if you go to myinnerstruggle.com, you can actually download a document to put everything in.
Yeah.
And you can tuck it in with you. And it's got different categories. And basically, you're taking each of the things that you say, that are on your mind, and then you associate them with an action if you're ready to move that forward. So when you were doing this activity, this brain dump, did it free flow? Did you have to really consider what you were putting down, or did you go, oh, and like you had a million things to write?
At the beginning, I kind of just sat and I was like, I don't even know, because I think, like you said, there's so much going on all of the time.
And sometimes you need like pages.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe like a prompt to like make you think of something.
Right.
But once I did start to write stuff, then I was like, oh, and then I'm always thinking about this, or I'm always thinking about this. And oh, I wonder what, how can I make this better? And then after that, it was a pretty consecutive, just jotting stuff down. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's good. Yeah. So then did it help you look at some things and go, okay, I really need to work on that, because this is a reoccurring thought that I have all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, there's definitely stuff on my list, how to live my best life. No, because it's true, because, we just had this conversation. Life is so short, and, what are you doing to make it your best life, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's just so, and a lot of people don't think about that. They're always thinking about what they can do for other people, and that's fine, and I do too, but...
Or you're going through every day in survival mode.
Right.
Just sort of like moving through the motions. And that's not any way to live either. And listen, I'm not criticizing, because that was me.
Yeah.
That's why I feel so passionately about it. But like, life is too short. It does go by really fast. You are not promised tomorrow. Yeah. And the more we can get organized, the more time we have to do the things that make us happy and fulfilled.
Right.
Right.
So let's think, how do we prioritize? I'm going to back up for a second. Mm-hmm. So this morning we attended a really great chamber event, right? So yes. Laura was one of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Sponsor of the event. And it was a wellness committee, and it was really, really well attended. I mean, how many people would you say was there?
I don't know, maybe 250 they say.
Yeah, there was quite a few. I mean, there was a lot of people there, and we had really great conversations, and, but your business, like, you're prioritizing getting yourself out there and really like reaching as many people as possible, which, is scary. And, but this morning, I mean, Laura killed it with
it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. And I think like maybe share like your thought process with us, how you prioritize getting ready for an event like that.
So getting ready for an event like that, like yesterday I went through this. Had the opportunity to speak. And so I knew about that, like, it was probably like a couple months ago, because normally they don't have this event at this time of year, but they decided to change it. And May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month. And then that's something I'm very passionate about, things that I've struggled with depression and anxiety my entire life. And, finding tools that help me and that can help you as well. So getting that message out just is the most important thing to me, right? So the more people that I can talk to about that, the better. So you try to think about and prioritize the events, or give me another word, like the events or the resources that will be the most beneficial to the most people.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So we talk, like in this, I talk about the podcast, right? Because we can reach so many more people with these tools. And if you watch this for 30 minutes and you walk away with, a new tool of like getting everything on your brain out on paper, then I did my job.
Right.
Because that's important. And not everybody has those resources or feels comfortable talking to someone about it.
Right.
And it's easier to listening to an audiobook or a podcast or reading something that helps. So when it comes to my business though, and prioritizing what events I'll do and things like that, it really just has to make sense, time, right? Yeah. And the audience that you're talking to. There's been other chamber like committee things that I've gone to where it's all government officials and stuff like that. And maybe that's not my best audience. Okay. Right. And I don't know that I have a target person, and I know that I probably should, but everyone deals with some sort of mental health issue or struggle in their life, whether it's them or their spouse or their child or someone. So I feel like I can relate to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So when I was getting ready for this, absolutely. And so when I was getting ready for this event, really getting my message together was the most important for me. Mm-hmm. So I had a few minutes to speak and I sort of, I worked on that. And then yesterday I read it again and again and again because I needed to make sure that my whole message was heard and it was impactful and made sense. And I think I did a good job at that. Absolutely. Because I had a lot of great feedback and a few chuckles after, using the word bullshit in a room of business people, because we're all supposed to be professionals there. And that's important.
You said it in a professional manner.
I did.
So I think
but that's who I am. And, and like, that I thought the message was good. So another thing, the brain dump, like I said, there's a document that you can download for free on the website on myinnerstruggle.com for your own brain dump. And there's different categories that you can put your things in. It probably would have been helpful if I gave that to you too, but I didn't.
But made me use my own
I kind of forgot that I gave you that homework, to be honest. But one of the things that, as you know, because we share it, is I use, there's all sorts of apps and tools and lists and things like that that can help you. Personally, I use Microsoft To Do for all of my to-dos. Mm-hmm. So I use them. I have different lists for clients of mine, business clients of mine that I'm doing consulting for, so I can keep all of their information straight. For our podcast, and for other things and for personal things. So that way, when I'm thinking about something or if I have an idea, I'll put it on my to-do list. And then every couple weeks, I'll kind of go through it and see what needs to be tackled.
Okay.
And if I have a week where I don't have a ton of appointments, I'll probably kind of check off some of those things that are on there, or then reorganize them depending on what events that we have coming up or things like that. Does that answer your question?
And in a really roundabout way. No, it does. But not only do you utilize Microsoft Outlook for our
to do.
But you also have a paper to-do list.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm a paper person. So I actually the Microsoft To Do is awesome in organizing with teams and stuff, because I like I said, we share a podcast one and stuff like that. But I use a planner. I use a daily planner. Hopefully you'll be able to see it soon too, because I have developed it and that will be for sale at some point on my website as well. But I am a paper person. Right. I need things in front of me, something that's tangible. So it's a very simple, small book that I can throw in my purse. and it has all the different categories right down to like how much water I drank that day.
Right.
Because that is, if I don't mark it down, I forget and I lose track.
Yeah.
So, I'll oftentimes on that to do, Microsoft to do, I'll look at it on the computer. I know I have these 3 tasks to do. And I'll put that on my paper planner along with my other, like, got to pick up this kid at this time. This is what's for dinner, make these 3 phone calls and keep myself organized that way.
And you also put, not only your to-dos on your planner, but you put goals.
Yes.
So that you're looking at the same goal. So if you set a goal for yourself, whether it's weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever the case may be, so you're looking at, and I know we've talked about it before. So you put down your goals, which I think is great.
Every day I write it down.
And I think it goes to the heart of our very first podcast about manifesting. And, you put out into the universe every day, all day, what it is that you want to get back. And I think that's really important. And I'm so glad that it's included on, on the planner.
What I'm grateful for that day.
Yeah. Which is a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, usually it's me, I think.
Of course, naturally. But I wish I had it with me. Yesterday I wrote a really good one. And I can't remember what it was because it was something that I don't normally write. But especially like, when you have those bad or dark days, and then the next day I'm writing down like what I'm grateful for. And sometimes it'll be like my drive, like my desire to do better. That's what I'm grateful for.
To do more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's great. And I'm glad that it's all in one place. And I've seen the mock-up of the planner, and I think it's fantastic because it is, like you said, small enough to throw in a purse or a bag, or, it's not a huge inconvenience, and it's something small enough that you can jot down.
It's just, I've always been a paper planner person. I'm kind of a nerd about it. Like I love them. And it helps me feel like accomplished, especially then when you can thumb back through things and see, okay, this is where I was at that time. I used to keep all of my old planners. I'm such a nerd.
No, I think, it's, I used to do that for business. I would write down, like any meetings we had or any projects I was working on, and then come review time, I would flip back. Oh, I did that project. I did that. So I do think I definitely think that for growth and self-reflection, being able to look back at things that you've overcome, that you've accomplished, that you set out to do and that you did them. I think that is really important for people, because it's so easy to think you're failing and that you're not doing something correctly, or you're just not getting there. But then if you look back and you're like, well, wait a minute, I did this and I was successful here.
There's something to that even too, is taking that information and making like a joy list of those accomplishments that you made. And I did that a few months ago because I was feeling a little stagnant, a little stuck. I things maybe don't always go the way we envision them to, and that's okay. But when you're most of the time, right? But when you're in it, it feels
forever.
Yeah. And so like just stopping in that moment and going and backing it up and then realizing, and it was like all of these milestones that I hit. And then I was like, wow, you put that in perspective and it just feels better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everybody has accomplished stuff, and I think it's so easy to forget the wins and only focus on the losses, that I really think like visualizing, to speak about today, like visualizing how to get started. Well, let's look at where we came from.
Right.
Like, where did we start? Where are we now? Because I guarantee where you started and where you are now are farther apart than you think.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
I agree.
Think that's really, those are great tools, and it's awesome. You're awesome.
Oh, thanks.
But when you were talking and you said, help me, all I could think of was Jerry Maguire. Help me. Help you. Help me help you. But you were on a roll and I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh,
so,
thanks.
Yeah. So I think those are great. Those are great tips. Definitely write it down, whether it's electronic, whether it's on paper, flip back or write down 5 years ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago, where you were, if it's a weight loss journey, if it's a new job journey, if it's cleaning out the clutter of your house, like whatever it is that you've been working on, like take a minute to reflect about where you were so that you can really visualize and prioritize where you want to be, knowing how far you've already come.
Right. And also part of the brain dump too, right? So you have all these things. And so on mine, like if I were to say it today, I think I said this to you recently, I feel like I was on a really good routine in my house, say like last year in 2023 when I was starting my business, and I was like, okay, I'm going to clean out the linen closet every quarter, and I put that on my to-do list.
Yeah.
It has since made its way off the to-do list. I'm not really sure how, but there's things like
you've
that.
Added other things to
yeah,
do
that's
on the
true.
to-do list.
But actually, it was when I was migrating over to my own domain. I think that's when I lost some things. So I have to. So my brain dump is going to be some of those things. Like I need to touch up paint in my house, and all of those things that we're carrying around with us all day. And then once you have it on your brain dump, and then you can be like, we're going to tackle these this weekend, and then you know what? You don't have to think about it anymore because it's done.
Yeah, no,
that's the beautiful part, to clear that space in your head. And then that allows you that time and energy on those positive, to focus on those positive things and life, the life that we want to live.
The best life. Yes. You're living your best life.
Right.
No, absolutely. Speaking of living your best life. So next week, we are going to do a whole podcast on happiness and fulfillment.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So things that make us happy, find ways to find happiness. And I mean, there you can find, and sometimes it doesn't seem like it, but there can be happiness in anything.
Right.
You just have to reframe how you look at it, right?
Right. It is all about mindset. Yeah. And actually, this is a good balance because, I am someone that has to work at being happy. It didn't come naturally to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's weird to say, but the more I say it to the more people, they understand when that necessarily isn't your story at all. No, so it's a very,
more on the side of positivity and happiness. And
well, no, I am positive, I'd say, but for myself, being happy with myself, and I've had to work at it.
No, I mean, I think everybody has to work at it. But again, I mean, finding happiness and fulfillment. I mean, you should have seen Laura on stage today. She owned it,
and I didn't trip.
And she didn't trip.
I didn't trip. I was really worried about that.
She couldn't get up there, but how many people came up and they were like, "You were the best." How many speakers were there? 10? 12?
Something like that.
Yeah, 10 or 12 speakers, and a dozen people came up and told Laura afterward that she had the best speech. It was the most relatable. It was the most honest. And how many of those people were like, I'm going to start following you. I can't wait to
There
meet
was
with
a ton.
You.
There was some great response.
So, you have self-doubt, but you need to take that as a win like today.
Yeah, that was a win. It feels
a win.
It feels really, really good, especially like when I do something like that. And even the podcast too. Like I know like people will say after like, thank you for doing this because I can relate and it makes sense and it's not like sugar coated and it's not, everything's so perfect and nice because it's not. That's not life and that's not real.
Not the real world. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, so that'll be next week. So that'll be a good one. We'll we'll come back and we'll join there.
Okay.
So
that sounds good.
All right.
I'll be here.
I'll see if I can make it. All right. So say all the things.
Okay, so make sure you check out the blog on myinnerstruggle.com, subscribe on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you're watching us, and join the Facebook community, and follow on Instagram. I think that's all the things.
Yeah, those are all the things.
Yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye.